this last episode of This Is Polly. So we have Cammy, Trent, and Nita. They all go out for some drinks and dinner. And Nita is sitting there trying to plead her case with Cammy and her husband on why she should be allowed to have more than one adventure a month. She says that this girl that she had come over, when she came over, in my opinion, it didn't really look like they had a lot of chemistry, but I guess they probably edited a certain way to look that way, because according to Nita, they had themselves a good old time, and now she's just sitting here craving more. But Cammy and Trent are really going for it because they're like, girl, you're going to have to wait another month at least because you just had an adventure. And we specifically agreed on one adventure a month for 4 hours. And they purposely do that so people don't get attached to people. And coming into this whole poly relationship, Nita knew the rules and she agreed with the rules. She was fine with the rules, but now she's trying to move the goalposts and she's trying to say, well, you know, I started to develop feelings, so now I want to change things. And Cammy and Trent have to point out, well, how's that fair that we can sit here and cater to you and change the rules for you, but we're not going to do the same? And Nita kind of makes it sound like, oh, if you guys wanted to change the rules, it would be fine. But I promise you, if they wanted to bring another woman in and started treating that woman like Nita, or wanted to spend more time with Nita than they were with Nita, then Nita would definitely feel some type of way. Nita was like, well, what if me and this girl just have a platonic relationship? But I don't believe it's going to be able to last like that for long, because eventually, if this girl is able to go down on her and give her everything in the bedroom that she's looking for, then she's going to feel more fulfilled with this woman than she is with Trent and Cammy. So it's gonna get to the point where I think she's gonna want to eventually start focusing on this girl more than she's focusing on Trent and Cammy. And honestly, I don't think that she's gonna be happy or be fully fulfilled if she's just with Cammy and Trent. You can tell that she just deep down wants her own person that can give her everything in the bedroom. Especially, it seems like she's a very sexual person, so it seems like she definitely needs that to be happy in life, and she's just not getting what she wants out of Cammy. And Cammy was like, girl, I told you this coming into things, that I probably was never going to be able to go down on you, but you still decided to come into this relationship. We've been together for 3 years, and now it kind of just feels like you're putting someone else. And, you know, I'm sure after 3 years, you know, she's starting to feel like things are getting stale, especially in the bedroom. But Trent was like, you need to water your own plants before you focus on anybody else. And I do agree, and I don't think they're going to go for her continuing on with this relationship. And if she does, I'm sure they're eventually going to end up kicking her out in the next month or so. So she's got to be careful, because if you're going to be trying to go all in with that girl, then it's going to be all in, and it's going to be to the point where they're going to eventually want you to figure out what you're going to do about a roof over your head and everything else. So you have to realize if it's worth losing the consistency and stability that you have living with Cammy and Trent at this time. But like I said, I feel like she needs to find somebody who is just all for her, or be in a poly relationship who's open, who doesn't care how much time she spends with other people. I will give it to them, though. If I was poly and I was going to be in a poly relationship, I would definitely want to be with somebody like Cammy and Trent, because they have excellent communication skills, and it is so important to have great communication skills if you're going to be in a poly relationship like this that's going to last. And then we see Nita, and she went and met up with Cammy's daughter, well, Cammy and Trent's daughter, the one that's poly, and Nita was pretty much just telling her about what was going on with this girl. And it seems like their daughter was kind of starting to get through Nita. She's like, well, how would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot and they did this to you? And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't like that. And now she's starting to see things from a different perspective, and I think maybe she might finally decide to take a step back from this girl. And now let's talk about Tamina and BQ, because, man, they just need to go their separate ways at this point. So we see Tamina, and she meets up with one of her friends to have dinner, and her friend was like, hey, I don't want to ruin your day, but there's something I really need to show you. And Tamina was like, okay, what is it? So the girl pulls out the phone, and you know those Facebook groups, like the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook groups, where they put little hoes in the group, and then other women are like, yeah, he's been talking to me too, or no, he cheated on me too. Well, apparently BQ is on one of those local websites. So not only is he making Tamina look like a fool behind closed doors by venturing out to the strip club and lying about his location and talking to other women behind closed doors, but now he has embarrassed her publicly in front of these thousands of people who are in this Facebook group by just putting himself out there and cheating on all these and talking to all these women and cheating on Tamina. Like, yes, they're in a poly relationship, but to me it's considered cheating because he's not openly communicating with Tamina that he's talking to these women, and the women that he does talk to, they're supposed to be in a poly relationship, like one big happy family. It's not supposed to be just him venturing out and hanging out with these girls and Tamina not knowing anything about it. But anyways, Tamina was completely embarrassed and ashamed when she saw that he was on this website. And when she saw that, she started to think about I think it's one thing going on behind closed doors with her, but now the fact that he's being so public about it by like going to public places like the strip club, and then now he's on Facebook and people are exposing him, and now he's on a national TV show making her look like Bobo the Fool. I think now she's starting to realize how bad this marriage, she's married, right? I think they're married. How bad this marriage really is. And like I said in my last video, I think it honestly is a blessing in disguise that they have to move in 60 days, because it's a chance for her to finally get away from him. And if she was smart, I feel like that's what she needs to do until he gets in a better place, because once they're separated, I think he's finally going to have a wake-up call, and he's either going to realize that not being without her, he's going to miss her presence and realize that's what he wants in his life, or the separation is going to make him realize even more that that's not what he wants and he's going to go in a different direction. But either way, I think it's going to end up being best for their marriage and reveal where he really is at. And honestly, I just think they need to give things up, because if he's been like this their whole marriage, she said he's been like this all these years, and they've been together like what, 20 years or so, and his ass still hasn't changed. If anything, he's only gotten worse. To me, that just shows he doesn't respect her, he doesn't truly love her, and they just need to start focusing on themselves, or Tamina at least needs to start focusing on herself and just be done with BQ. She's too much of a beautiful woman, she's got too much going for her to be wasting her time with someone who just makes her look like a fool to the whole town. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So we learned from Tamina that she is actually considering getting her own place now, which I was so happy to hear that, and I hope she does do that, because I think it's honestly going to be for the best. But I honestly feel like if she does get her own place, he's just going to become even more of a little hoe, and they're probably going to end up getting separated. But I think it's best, because why be in a relationship where this guy seems to be focused on everybody else but you? But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.